Thank you very much, Reggie. That was great. Skipper, in a moment I'm going to ask you to the podium to address the ship's company. But before that, I'd like to ask your forgiveness. For everyone's information, true to form, just as I remember him when I served as a junior officer under him, your skipper insisted on being prepared. He was always attentive to detail. He called me some weeks ago. He just wanted to be briefed on the event. He wanted to know any special guests, what will you require of me, just the usual thought process of a thorough commanding officer. And he closed with something like, I just don't want any surprises. Or something to that effect. Well, Skipper, I did something I never did when I served in your command. I lied. But I figured you'd forgive me this time. So please welcome to the podium our skipper, Rear Admiral Bill Stewart.
Thank you. I made a few notes tonight, and I'm going to add sneaky to all the things that I was going to say about the ship's company. First of all, I'd like to thank my friend and fellow citizen of the Port City, Reggie Copeland. And I hate to call the president of the city council sneaky, but I'm not so sure I should. At least you're a participant in this thing. And don't ever buy a used car from this ship's company. I'd also like to recognize someone that Milt has already recognized and talk about Russell's time, because I'd like to be a member of the board of trustees of the National Maritime Museum of the Gulf of Mexico and welcome him to the board of directors. We are delighted, sir, and I look forward to working with you. In past reunions in Jacksonville and Louisville, I've talked to the ship's company about the Coast Guard of today and tomorrow. Tonight we had an expert that really told us about the Coast Guard of tomorrow. And so I'm going to change the way I do business. And tonight I'm going to talk to you, the ship's company. And my comments are also addressed to those who could not be with us tonight and to those so beautifully portrayed on the screen who have crossed the bar, because they truly are still, in my mind, part of the team. I was privileged to command a group of professionals who could go anywhere and do anything. You had spirit, imagination, sometimes too much imagination, and determination. But you were also innovative and compassionate. And I'd like to show you, or talk to you about a few illustrations of what I've just said. And no, I'm not going to talk about people who what they did in Longapo in the Philippines, and I'm not going to talk about what they did in some of the other ports, and I'm not going to discuss the hydraulic merits of Hoxie baths or anything like that, so none of you need to get nervous. But first I want to illustrate what I said about go anywhere and do anything. We had a district commander who was very hard to please. A personal friend of many years, his name was Paul Prince. And he made a statement at my change of command that I think illustrates the point. He said, if I wanted to send the Andy to the moon, this crew would find a way. And that's a quote. And I want to conjure up a few pictures that most of you are familiar with. As a matter of fact, Captain Stat showed a few tonight. I want to think about a real tough explosives maker showing a young Vietnamese boy how to operate a yo-yo. Now, you might ask, how in the name of heaven did we get yo-yos in Vietnam? Well, we had a support group back home called Watts, and they were marvelous, and they did a wonderful job. They sent us for a village named Song An Tak, 100 dolls and 100 yo-yos. Now, the dolls, the little girls knew exactly what to do with. They required no on-the-job training at all. But the little boys had absolutely no knowledge of how to operate a yo-yo. Let me also conjure up a picture of a Christmas party. I don't know how many hours the cook spent baking cookies. And I don't know where we got 50 gallons of ice cream. I'm scared to ask our supply clerk when Ole was still with us. But those kids each had a bowl, a spoon, and a bright-eyed look. Most of them had never had ice cream before. And they went through 50 gallons of ice cream and 500 cookies in a matter of 30 minutes.